2 years ago, I thought I had everything. My name is Ryan Brooks, and I truly believe my future was already written. Zoe had said yes when I asked her to marry me. I still remember the way she laughed before whispering, "Of course I will." Those words had changed my life. Together, we searched for apartments. "This one has too much sunlight," she complained. I laughed. "You complained yesterday because the last one didn't have enough." "I know. So what do you actually want?" She grinned. "I want the one that feels like home." A week later, we found it. She spun around the empty living room. "This is it. You really think so? I can already picture our couch over there." She pointed toward the wall. "And the television here. What about my office?" She crossed her arms. "No office." "What?" "I refuse to lose my husband to a computer." I smiled. "We're not married yet." "Details." I pulled her into a hug. "I love you." "I know." Then she laughed. "I love you too." We booked our wedding venue the following month. The manager asked, "Any special requests?" Zoe immediately answered, "No boring music." I looked at her. "That's your biggest concern?" "Absolutely." "What about the food?" "It'll be fine." "The flowers?" "They're flowers." "The guest list?" She shrugged. "As long as you're there, I'll survive." I squeezed her hand. "I promise I'll be there." She smiled. "I know you will." At night, we planned our future together. One evening, we sat on the apartment floor, surrounded by unopened boxes. She leaned against my shoulder. "What should we name our first baby?" I laughed. "We're planning children before the wedding." "Why not? I don't even know if it'll be a boy or a girl." She pointed at me. "Fine. If it's a girl, Lily. If it's a boy, Noah." I made a face. "I don't like Noah." She gasped dramatically. "You don't?" "No." "Then what?" "Ethan." She shook her head. "No. Ethan. Noah. Ethan." She started laughing. "We're already arguing like parents." "Good practice." She kissed my cheek. "We're going to have a beautiful life." I believe that. So do I. I believed every word. Until one morning. I woke up expecting to hear her making coffee. Instead, the apartment was silent. "Zoe." No answer. I checked the bedroom. Empty. The bathroom. Empty. The kitchen. Nothing. At first, I wasn't worried. Maybe she had gone to the store. Maybe she wanted breakfast. Maybe. Then I noticed something strange. Her suitcase was gone. So were her clothes. Her favorite jacket. Her passport. Even a framed picture of us from our vacation had disappeared. I grabbed my phone. She didn't answer. I called again. Straight to voicemail. Again. Nothing. I texted, "Where are you?" No reply. An hour later, I drove to her office. The receptionist looked confused. "She resigned yesterday." "What? She didn't tell you?" "No." "I'm sorry." I drove to her parents' house. Her mother opened the door. "Ryan, where's Zoe?" She looked away. "I don't know. Please." "I really don't." "You expect me to believe that?" Tears filled her eyes. "I haven't heard from her. I searched everywhere. Friends. Old co-workers. Our favorite cafe. Nobody had answers." 3 days later, her phone number stopped working. A week later, her social media disappeared. Every picture, every post, every memory, gone. Mason tried to help. Maybe she just needs space. I stared at him. People don't disappear because they need space. I know. There has to be a reason. There probably is. Then why won't anyone tell me? He sighed. "I wish I knew." Weeks became months. Months became a year. People slowly stopped asking about Zoe. My mother carefully avoided saying her name. Friends stopped expecting her to come back. Life moved forward, whether I wanted it to or not. I focused on work. I moved into a smaller apartment. I donated the wedding decorations we never used. The engagement ring stayed locked inside a drawer. Sometimes I opened it. Sometimes I didn't. Eventually, 2 years passed. The pain never completely disappeared. It simply became quieter. I accepted that I would probably never know why she left. One rainy Thursday evening, I came home late from work. I dropped my keys onto the table. The apartment felt peaceful. I changed into comfortable clothes. Ordered takeout. Turned on the television without paying attention. For the first time in a long while, my life felt stable. Then someone knocked on the door. I glanced at the clock. 7:18 p.m. I frowned. I wasn't expecting anyone. Another knock. I walked across the room. Coming. I unlocked the door, pulled it open, and forgot how to breathe. Zoe. She stood in front of me. Older. Thinner. Her bright smile had been replaced by exhaustion. Dark circles rested beneath her eyes. She looked like someone carrying years of regret. Neither of us spoke. I noticed the little hand holding hers. A small boy stood beside her. Curly brown hair. Big, curious eyes. Tiny sneakers splashed with rainwater. He couldn't have been older than 4. He looked up at me with complete innocence. Then he tugged gently on Zoe's sleeve. Mom. My heart stopped. The little boy pointed at me. Who's this man? Those 4 words echoed louder than any scream. Mom. Not Zoe. Mom. I looked from the child to her. Then back again. Questions flooded my mind faster than I could ask them. Who was he? Why was she here? Why now? Why after 2 years? Zoe's eyes filled with tears. She opened her mouth. Ryan. I couldn't answer. Every emotion I had buried came crashing back at once. Confusion. Anger. Love. Heartbreak. The woman who had vanished without a goodbye now stood at my door with a child holding her hand. And somehow, that hurt even more than the day she disappeared. I realized my heart wasn't breaking for the first time. It was breaking all over again. Because the woman who abandoned me had finally returned. But she wasn't alone. I stood frozen in the doorway. Zoe stood just as still. The little boy looked back and forth between us with innocent curiosity. The rain continued falling behind them. Finally, I found my voice. What are you doing here? Zoe swallowed. Can we come inside? I looked at the child. He shivered slightly in the cold. I stepped aside without saying another word. Come in. She quietly thanked me. The little boy walked into my apartment, looking around with wide eyes. It's nice. I nodded politely. Thank you. He smiled. I'm Leo. Hi, Leo. I'm 4. I guessed. He laughed. My mom says I'm almost 5. Zoe managed a faint smile. You talk too much. I like talking. I know. I pointed toward the couch. You can sit. Leo immediately climbed onto it. His attention shifted to a small bookshelf. You have comics. I do. Can I look? Of course. He carefully walked over, completely unaware of the tension filling the room. Zoe remained standing. She looked at me with eyes full of guilt. I don't know where to begin. I crossed my arms. Try the beginning. She nodded slowly. When I left, you didn't leave. I interrupted her. You disappeared. She lowered her head. You're right. So tell me why. She took a deep breath. I reunited with someone. My chest tightened. Who? My first love. The words landed like a punch. Jace. I stared at her. The guy you told me was part of your past. Yes. The one you said you'd never go back to. Tears filled her eyes. Yes. I laughed bitterly. So everything we planned? She closed her eyes. I know. No. I shook my head. You don't. She whispered. I thought he'd changed. Silence. He contacted me. Silence again. He apologized for everything. I looked away. He said he'd spent years regretting losing me. And you believed him? Yes. You never even talked to me. I was confused. You were engaged to me. I know. You were planning our wedding. I know. You picked baby names with me. Her shoulders trembled. I remember. Then how were you confused? She couldn't answer. I looked toward the window. So what happened? She wiped away her tears. I left with him. I remained silent. For a while, everything seemed perfect. My jaw tightened. I thought I'd made the right decision. And then, I became pregnant. She looked down. The day I told him. Her voice broke. He disappeared. I slowly looked back at her. What? He packed his things. He left. She nodded. He blocked my number. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I searched everywhere. No luck. Nothing. She glanced toward Leo. I was alone. The little boy sat on the floor reading a comic book, smiling at the colorful pages. He had no idea we were talking about him. Zoe whispered. I raised Leo by myself. I looked at the child. He wasn't responsible for any of this. He was just a little boy. I'm sorry he abandoned his son. So am I. But that doesn't explain why you abandoned me. She covered her face. I was ashamed. So instead of telling me the truth, I ran. You erased me. I know. You erased our future. I know. You erased us. I know. Every answer sounded exactly the same. I felt exhausted. She slowly stepped closer. I never stopped loving you. For a moment, I honestly thought I had heard her wrong. Then I almost laughed. The sound escaped before I could stop it. If you loved me. My voice stayed calm. Why did you leave without letting me fight for us? She stared at me. I waited. Seconds passed. Then another. She opened her mouth. Closed it again. No words came. That silence answered every question I had carried for 2 years. Love doesn't run without explanation. Love doesn't disappear overnight. Love doesn't erase someone from its life. I nodded slowly. I understand. No. She shook her head desperately. You don't. I do. I was scared. We all get scared. I thought you'd hate me. You never gave me the chance to decide. She cried quietly. I'm sorry. I believe you are. I've regretted it every day. I believe that too. She looked hopeful. Then, it doesn't change what happened. The hope disappeared from her face. Leo walked over holding one of my comics. Mom. She quickly wiped away her tears. Yes. Why are you crying? She forced a smile. I'm okay. He hugged her. I don't like when you're sad. I know, sweetheart. He looked at me. Did he make you cry? I knelt beside him. No. You promise? I promise. He studied my face for a second, then nodded. Okay. He returned to the couch. Zoe whispered. He's a good boy. He seems like one. I've tried my best. I'm sure you have. She looked around the apartment. I should go. I didn't stop her. She stood at the door. I never expected you to forgive me today. I know. I just wanted you to know the truth. I've heard it. She nodded sadly. Goodbye, Ryan. Take care of Leo. I will. She held her son's hand. Together they walked down the hallway. The elevator doors closed behind them. I stood there for a long time before shutting my own door. The apartment felt strangely empty again. Not because I wanted Zoe back, because I had finally learned the truth. And somehow, the truth hurt more than being abandoned. The next evening, Noah invited me out for coffee. He watched me quietly while I stirred my drink. You saw her. I did. How are you holding up? I don't know. He leaned back. Do you still love her? I thought carefully before answering. A part of me probably always will. That's normal. But I don't think I could ever trust her again. Noah nodded. Then he said something I would never forget. Ryan, what? Love without trust is just another heartbreak waiting to happen. I repeated those words silently. Love without trust. Another heartbreak. For the first time since Zoe knocked on my door, I stopped asking whether I still loved her. Instead, I started asking whether love alone had ever been enough. After Zoe returned, my life became strangely quiet again. She didn't disappear this time. Every few days, she sent a short message. I'm sorry. I hope you're okay. I don't expect anything from you. I never replied. Not because I wanted to punish her. Because I honestly didn't know what to say. Some wounds couldn't be healed with conversations. One Saturday afternoon, my phone rang. The screen showed a familiar name. Mia. I hadn't spoken to Zoe's best friend in months. I answered. Hello. Hi, Ryan. Her voice sounded hesitant. Do you have time for coffee? I frowned. Why? I just wanted to check on you. I thought about saying no. Instead, I sighed. Okay. An hour later, I walked into a small cafe near the park. Mia was already there. She smiled politely. Thanks for coming. No problem. I sat across from her. For a few moments, we simply looked at the menus. Finally, she asked, How are you? I laughed softly. Everyone keeps asking me that. Because people care. I know. She nodded. You don't have to pretend with me. I'm tired. I figured. The waitress brought our drinks. Neither of us touched them. Mia finally spoke again. I heard Zoe went to see you. She did. She told you everything? As far as I know. She lowered her eyes. I'm sorry. You don't need to apologize. I still feel responsible. Why? Because she's my best friend. I shook my head. You didn't leave me. No. You didn't lie to me. No. You didn't disappear. She smiled sadly. I guess not. Over the next few weeks, we met several more times. Sometimes for coffee. Sometimes for lunch. Sometimes we simply walked through the park without saying much. Mia never defended Zoe. She never said, You should forgive her. She never tried to explain what had happened. Instead, she listened. One evening, I admitted, I still get angry. She nodded. That makes sense. Some mornings I still wake up wondering why. You probably always will. I hate that. I know. Another time I asked, Do you think Zoe deserves another chance? She looked directly into my eyes. My opinion doesn't matter. It matters to me. She smiled gently. No, Ryan. What? The only opinion that matters is yours. I appreciated that answer more than she realized. She wasn't trying to control my decisions. She simply respected them. That felt different. Comforting. Weeks turned into months. Talking to Mia became the easiest part of my week. One rainy evening we stayed inside a quiet bookstore cafe. The rain tapped softly against the windows. Mia wrapped both hands around her coffee. Can I tell you something? Of course. I've never told anyone this. I leaned forward. What is it? She hesitated. Then she took a deep breath. I like you first. I blinked. What? She laughed nervously. Back before you and Zoe started dating. I stared at her. I had no idea. Nobody did. Why didn't you say anything? She smiled sadly. Because Zoe loved you too. The room became completely silent. I noticed the way she looked at you. She continued quietly. And I realized she was falling for you. So you step aside. She nodded. I told myself it was only a crush. Was it? No. Her honesty caught me off guard. I cared about you. I didn't know what to say. She looked embarrassed. I'm sorry. For what? I probably shouldn't have told you. No. I shook my head. I'm just surprised. She laughed softly. Believe me, so was I. You watched us together? I did. That must have been difficult. Sometimes. Why stay friends with us? Because caring about someone doesn't always mean you get to keep them. I looked at her with new understanding. You never hated Zoe? I couldn't. And you never blamed me? You never knew. I slowly smiled. I'm sorry. She shrugged. Life happens. The conversation changed after that. Not immediately. Not dramatically. Just naturally. There were longer smiles, comfortable silences, accidental touches that neither of us hurried to pull away from. One afternoon she called. What are you doing? Working. Take a break. I have deadlines. You also have a life. I laughed. Bossy. I've been told. What did you have in mind? There's a food festival downtown. You want me to skip work for tacos? Exactly. I closed my laptop. When do we leave? She laughed. I knew you'd make the right choice. That afternoon was surprisingly simple. We tried terrible food, laughed at street performers, got caught in another unexpected rainstorm. She looked at me and burst into laughter. What? You look ridiculous. So do you. I know. Neither of us cared. For the first time in years, I forgot what heartbreak felt like. Months passed. One evening we sat on a bench overlooking the river. The sunset painted the water gold. Mia looked toward the horizon. Can I ask you something? Sure. Are you happy? I thought about it carefully. More than I expected. I'm glad. I think it's because life finally feels quiet. She smiled. You deserve quiet. I looked at her. No. I think I deserve peace. She turned toward me. There's a difference. There is. We sat there without speaking. Then I reached for her hand. Not because I planned it. Not because I felt pressured. Because it felt right. She looked down at our hands. Then back at me. You don't have to. I know. Are you sure? Yes. A gentle smile appeared on her face. She squeezed my hand. Neither of us rushed to define what was happening. We didn't need to. Whatever this was, it didn't feel confusing. It didn't feel uncertain. It didn't make me question my worth. For the first time in a very long time, love didn't feel like something I had to chase. It didn't feel fragile. It didn't feel painful. As I sat beside the girl who had quietly stood by me when my world fell apart, I realized something beautiful. The strongest love isn't always the loudest. Sometimes, it's the one that patiently waits until your heart is finally ready to believe in happiness again. And for the first time, love felt peaceful instead of painful. Life with Mia never felt rushed. Neither of us tried to replace the past. We simply built something new. One honest conversation at a time. One quiet afternoon at a time. One shared smile at a time. 6 months after we started dating, we were cooking dinner together. I burned the pasta. She laughed so hard she had to lean against the counter. You had one job. I was distracted. By what? You. She pointed the wooden spoon at me. That's not a valid excuse. It should be. She smiled. You know what I like about us? What? We don't have to pretend. I nodded. I was thinking the same thing. She walked closer. I never wonder what you're hiding. Because I'm not hiding anything. I know. I kissed her forehead. And I never wonder if you'll leave. Her eyes softened. I won't. I believe you. She whispered. Thank you. One evening we visited my parents for dinner. My mother watched Mia helping clear the table. As soon as Mia stepped into the kitchen, Mom leaned toward me. I like her. I smiled. I noticed. No. She shook her head. I really like her. So do I. She looks at you differently. What do you mean? She looks at you like she's grateful you're in her life. I glanced toward the kitchen. Mia caught me looking and smiled. I smiled back. Mom quietly said, That's the kind of love that lasts. Months later, Mia and I walked through a small park after work. She suddenly stopped walking. What? She looked nervous. I've been thinking. That sounds dangerous. She laughed. It probably is. I waited. She reached into her purse. I bought something. She handed me a tiny velvet box. I stared at it. Mia, open it. Inside was a simple silver keychain. It held 2 tiny engraved words. Home. Together. I looked up. She smiled shyly. I know it's not exactly a ring. I laughed. It doesn't have to be. I just wanted to ask. She took a deep breath. Would you like to spend forever with me? My eyes filled with tears. You just proposed to me. I did. With a keychain. I panicked. I couldn't stop laughing. She covered her face. This is embarrassing. I gently pulled her hand away. It's perfect. Really, really. So, I took both of her hands. Yes. Her smile became brighter than the afternoon sun. Yes. Yes. She wrapped her arms around me. I love you. I love you too. This time, those words didn't scare me. They felt safe. 3 months later, we got married. No giant ballroom. No expensive decorations. No hundreds of guests. Just our closest family. A few friends. A quiet garden. The ceremony lasted less than 30 minutes. The minister smiled. Ryan, do you take Mia to be your wife? I looked into her eyes. I do. Mia, do you take Ryan to be your husband? She smiled through happy tears. I do. We exchanged rings. The minister laughed. I now pronounce you husband and wife. Everyone applauded. I kissed Mia. No drama. No heartbreak. No one walking away. Only happiness. During the reception, Noah raised his glass. I like to say something. Everyone became quiet. He looked at me. A few years ago, I watched my best friend lose everything. He smiled at Mia. Today, I watched him find everything. The room applauded again. I hugged him. Thanks. You earned this. No. I looked around the room. We earned it. Life continued quietly. Exactly the way we wanted. Then, one autumn morning, Mia woke me before sunrise. Ryan. I rubbed my eyes. What time is it? Almost 6. Why are we awake? She handed me a small white stick. I frowned. Then I looked closer. 2 pink lines. I stared at her. Are you serious? She nodded. We're having a baby. I laughed. Then cried. Then laughed again. She hugged me tightly. We're going to be parents. I can't believe it. Neither could I. Months passed in joyful anticipation. We decorated a nursery together. Argued over paint colors. Read parenting books. Noah laughed every time he visited. You two are overthinking everything. We're trying to be prepared. He grinned. Nobody's prepared. Apparently he was right. The day finally arrived. I held Mia's hand inside the hospital room. She squeezed so hard I thought my fingers would break. This is your fault. I laughed nervously. I've heard that before. I'm serious. I know. Several hours later, a doctor smiled. Congratulations. My heart pounded. You have twins. What? A healthy baby boy. I couldn't breathe. And a healthy baby girl. Tears immediately blurred my vision. The nurse carefully placed the little boy into my arms. He looks just like you. I smiled through tears. We're naming him Luca. A second nurse placed our daughter beside him. Tiny, peaceful, perfect. And this beautiful little girl, Luna. Mia looked exhausted but radiant. We actually did it. I sat beside her bed holding both babies. They were so small, so completely dependent on us. Luca yawned. Luna wrapped her tiny fingers around mine. Something inside me changed forever. I whispered, Hi. Neither of them answered. They simply slept peacefully. I smiled. I want to make you both a promise. Mia watched quietly. I looked at my son, then my daughter. I'll never let you wonder if you're enough. My voice trembled. I'll never make you question whether you're loved. A tear rolled down my face. You'll always know you belong. Mia reached over and touched my shoulder. They're lucky. I shook my head. No. I looked at my family. I'm the lucky one. As I held Luca and Luna for the first time, memories of my old life drifted through my mind. The abandoned apartment, the unanswered phone calls, the broken engagement, the endless questions. For years I had wondered why those things happened. Now I finally understood. If my heart had never been broken, it would never have been open to the life waiting for me. Every painful goodbye had quietly guided me toward this beautiful hello. At that moment, every heartbreak suddenly made perfect sense. 3 years passed in the happiest way imaginable. Life settled into a rhythm I had once believed was impossible. Every morning began with little footsteps racing through the hallway. Usually Luca reached our bedroom first. Dad. A second later, Luna followed behind him. You cheated. I ran faster, Luca laughed. You pushed me. I did not. Mia smiled from the bed. I think both of you are very loud. The twins climbed onto the mattress anyway. Luna wrapped her tiny arms around my neck. Can we go to the park today? I looked at Mia. What do you think? She smiled. It's Saturday. That's a yes. The twins cheered together. I'll bring the bubbles, Luca shouted. I want ice cream, Luna added. Mia laughed. First the park, then ice cream. Maybe. The children celebrated as if they had already won. Watching them laugh never became ordinary. Every smile reminded me how much life had changed. That afternoon, we packed a picnic basket. Mia checked the snacks. I packed sandwiches. I packed juice. She smiled. And the bubbles? Luca proudly held up a colorful bottle. I remembered. I knew you would. Luna grabbed my hand. Let's go. The city park buzzed with families enjoying the warm weather. Children played on swings. Dogs chased tennis balls. Music drifted from a nearby street performer. We spread our blanket beneath a large tree. Luca immediately opened the bottle of bubble solution. Watch this. He blew carefully. Dozens of shimmering bubbles floated into the air. Luna laughed so loudly that nearby parents smiled. I'm going to catch one. You have to run faster, I teased. I am fast. She chased the bubbles across the grass. Luca followed close behind. Mia leaned against my shoulder. They're happy. They really are. She looked at me. So are you. I smiled. I really am. She squeezed my hand. I love this life. So do I. For a while we simply watched the twins play. Luca finally caught a bubble. I got one. Luna laughed. It popped. I know. They always pop. He shrugged. It was still fun. Mia laughed softly. I think that's a lesson for adults too. Before I could answer, someone behind me quietly spoke. Kai. I frowned. Nobody had called me by that childhood nickname in years. Slowly I turned around. My heart skipped. Zoe. She stood only a few feet away. Beside her stood Leo. He looked taller than the last time I'd seen him. He smiled politely. Hi. Hi, Leo. He waved shyly. Zoe looked nervous. I didn't expect to see you here. I didn't either. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then her eyes wandered toward the open field. Luca and Luna were still laughing while chasing bubbles. She watched them carefully. They're beautiful. Thank you. She looked at Mia. Mia stood and walked over with a calm smile. Hello. Zoe nodded politely. You must be Mia. I am. It's nice to meet you. You too. There was no anger in Mia's voice. Only kindness. That somehow made the moment even harder. Leo looked toward the twins. Can I play with them? Zoe glanced at me. I smiled. If they're okay with it. Leo ran across the grass. Luca waved excitedly. Come on. Within seconds, all 3 children were laughing together. Luna handed Leo the bubble bottle. My turn next. Okay. They played as if they had known each other forever. Zoe watched them with trembling lips. They're happy. They are. She nodded slowly. I'm glad. Silence settled between us. Finally, she whispered, I used to imagine this. I looked at her. What? A family. She smiled sadly. A husband. She glanced at Mia. Children running around a park. Her voice became quieter. I imagined it would be us. I didn't answer, because there was nothing to say. She already knew. Her eyes remained fixed on Luca and Luna. Then she looked back at Mia. For a brief moment, all the color disappeared from her face. Reality had finally caught up with the dreams she abandoned. Those were supposed to be her dreams. Instead, someone else was living them. A tear rolled down her cheek. She quickly wiped it away. "I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize." "I do." She looked toward the children again. "I spent years wondering what our life would have looked like. I stayed quiet. I guess now I know." Mia gently slipped her hand into mine. Not to claim victory. Not to make Zoe jealous. Simply because holding my hand had become natural. Zoe noticed. Instead of looking hurt, she smiled sadly. "I'm happy you found someone who stayed." I looked at Mia. "So am I." Leo ran back toward us. "Mom, what is it?" They asked if we want ice cream. She laughed softly. "What do you think?" "I definitely want ice cream," Luca shouted from across the grass. "Come on." Luna jumped excitedly. "Hurry." Mia looked at me. "Should we invite them?" I nodded. "Of course." I turned to Zoe. "Would you and Leo like to join us?" She looked surprised. "Are you sure?" "Yes." She smiled gratefully. "Thank you." We walked together toward the ice cream stand. The children argued over flavors. "I want chocolate." "No," Luna protested. "Strawberry." Leo laughed. "Vanilla is better." The three of them continued debating while we adults followed behind. For a few minutes, everything felt peaceful. After everyone finished eating, Zoe turned to me. "I should go." Leo nodded. "I had fun." Luca grinned. "Come play again someday." Leo looked at his mother. "Can we?" Zoe smiled gently. "We'll see." She looked at Mia. "Thank you." Mia returned the smile. "Take care." Then Zoe faced me one last time. "I spent years wishing I could change the past." She took a slow breath. "Now I don't." I raised an eyebrow. "You don't." She shook her head. "Because changing the past would erase these two amazing kids." She looked at Luca and Luna laughing together. "And I could never wish that." Another tear slipped down her face. "I just wish I had made better choices." I nodded. "I hope you find happiness." She smiled through her tears. "I'm trying." She held Leo's hand. Together, they walked away. Neither of us looked back. I watched my own children chasing bubbles with Mia. The afternoon sun painted everything gold. Years ago, I believed losing Zoe had destroyed my future. Standing there with my wife, my twins, and a heart finally at peace, I understood the truth. Sometimes the life you cry over losing is only making room for the life you were always meant to have. A week after we met at the park, my phone buzzed with a message. It was from Zoe. "Ryan, can we talk one last time? I promise I won't ask for anything." I stared at the screen for several minutes. Mia noticed. "Everything okay?" "It's Zoe." She nodded. "What does she want?" One last conversation. She didn't ask another question. Instead, she smiled gently. "What do you want?" I need closure." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Then go. You don't mind? I trust you." Those 3 words settled something deep inside me. I smiled. "Thank you." She laughed softly. "You don't have to thank me for trusting my husband." The next afternoon, I met Zoe at a small cafe near the river. The place was quiet. Only a few people sat near the windows. She was already there when I arrived. She stood as I approached. "Hi." "Hi." She looked nervous. "Thank you for coming." I said I would. We sat across from each other. Neither of us touched the menus. Finally, she spoke. "I really meant it." "What?" "This is the last conversation." I nodded. "I know." The waitress brought coffee. After she walked away, Zoe wrapped both hands around her cup. "I've been thinking a lot." I figured. For years, actually. She stared into her coffee. I imagined this moment. I waited quietly. Every birthday. She smiled sadly. Every Christmas. She looked out the window. Every New Year's Eve. Her voice became smaller. "I imagined coming back." I frowned slightly. "Coming back." She nodded. I kept telling myself. She took a slow breath. "That one day I'd knock on your door again." I remained silent. "And you'd still be waiting." Those words hung heavily between us. She laughed at herself. I actually believed it. I looked at her calmly. "You thought I'd stop living? I hoped you wouldn't move on." "Why?" "Because I couldn't." She wiped away a tear. "I carried so much guilt that I convinced myself time had stopped for both of us." "It didn't." "I know." She nodded. I found that out at the park. Her eyes filled again. When I saw Mia, silence. When I saw your children, another silence. When I saw you smiling. She shook her head. I realized something. What? You weren't pretending. No. You were genuinely happy. I am. She smiled through her tears. I could see it. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered, I destroyed my own future. I looked at her carefully. Then I answered as gently as I could. No. She looked confused. You chose another one. She stared at me. I don't understand. You didn't destroy your future. You made choices. I know. Those choices created a different life. She lowered her eyes. I kept calling them mistakes. They were, but they were also decisions. She slowly nodded. I never thought about it like that. I leaned back. If you spend your life believing everything just happened to you. She listened carefully. You never accept responsibility. She took a deep breath. I chose Jace. Yes. I chose to leave. Yes. I chose not to tell you. Yes. I chose silence. I nodded once. You did. A tear rolled down her cheek. For years I blamed fate. She smiled bitterly. I blamed bad luck. Another tear followed. I blamed Jace. She paused. But I never blamed myself. I quietly said, now you do. She nodded. Now I do. The truth seemed to settle over her all at once. Not as punishment, as acceptance. She looked relieved. Not happy. Just honest. After a few minutes, she smiled faintly. Leo asks about you sometimes. He does. He remembers the park. I smiled. He's a good kid. He really is. He deserves a good life. I'll spend the rest of mine giving him one. I believe you. She looked grateful. Thank you. The conversation became lighter. She told me Leo had started school. I told her Luca had become obsessed with dinosaurs. She laughed. And Luna, she thinks she's the boss of everyone. I believe that. We both laughed. For the first time in years, the laughter didn't hurt. It simply sounded like two people who had finally stopped fighting the past. Eventually, Zoe looked at the clock. I should go. So should I. She stood slowly. Before leaving, she looked directly into my eyes. Can I ask one last question? Sure. Are you really happy? I didn't hesitate. Yes. She smiled. I'm glad. You sound like you mean that. I do. She looked toward the cafe window. You know. She laughed quietly. I used to think Mia stole my future. I frowned. Now I understand she didn't. She looked back at me. I gave it away. Neither of us argued. Because it was true. She reached into her purse and removed something small. The old engagement ring. She placed it gently on the table. I kept it all these years. I stared at it. I don't need it anymore. I pushed it back toward her. You should keep it. She looked surprised. What? Not as a symbol of us. She frowned. As a reminder. Of what? That every choice matters. She slowly closed her fingers around the ring. I think I'll always remember. I hope so. She smiled through tears one final time. Goodbye, Ryan. Goodbye, Zoe. She turned and walked toward the door. This time, she didn't hesitate. She didn't look back. She simply kept walking. I watched until she disappeared into the afternoon crowd. Then I stood, paid for my coffee, and headed home. When I opened my front door, Luca and Luna came running toward me. Dad! Mia smiled from the kitchen. You're home. I picked up both children at once. I missed you. We missed you too, Luna laughed. Mia walked over and kissed my cheek. Everything okay? I smiled. Everything is finally okay. As my family surrounded me, I realized Zoe had found what she came searching for. Not another chance. Not forgiveness. Not the past. She had finally accepted the truth. And sometimes, acceptance is the only ending a broken heart will ever need. Several months passed peacefully after my final conversation with Zoe. Life settled into a rhythm I never wanted to interrupt. Every morning, Luca and Luna filled the house with laughter before the sun had fully risen. Mia would smile as she poured coffee. You know they'll wake us early forever. I laughed. I wouldn't trade it. She kissed my cheek. I know. One afternoon, Noah stopped by the house carrying a box of donuts. I brought sugar. You brought trouble. Same thing. The twins cheered as he handed them each a small treat. Mia shook her head. You're their favorite uncle. I worked hard for that title. We all laughed together. Moments like those reminded me how different my life had become. Years ago, I measured happiness by plans that never happened. Now, I measured it by tiny hands reaching for mine. Later that evening, after the children were asleep, Noah became unusually quiet. "Ryan, what is it? I heard something today." I looked at him. "About Zoe?" He nodded. "What happened?" He leaned back in his chair. "Jace came back." I stared at him. "You're kidding." "I wish I was." I didn't speak. He showed up at her apartment. "Why now?" "He needs help." "What kind of help?" "Money." I let out a slow breath. "So nothing changed?" "No." He just found another reason to use her. A strange feeling passed through me. Not anger. Not jealousy. Just disappointment. Noah watched my face carefully. "You okay?" "I'm fine." "You don't seem surprised." "I'm not." "Why?" "Because people who only love themselves rarely change." Noah nodded slowly. "I think you're right." The conversation ended there. I didn't ask for more details. For years, I had wanted to know everything happening in Zoe's life. Now I realized I didn't need to. The next afternoon, however, my phone rang. It was Zoe. I hesitated before answering. "Hello." "Ryan." Her voice sounded calm. "I know this is strange." "It is. I don't want anything." "Okay. I just wanted you to know something." I waited quietly. "Jace came back yesterday." "I heard." She sighed. "I thought you might." Silence filled the call. Finally, she whispered. "He said he made a mistake." I didn't answer. "He said we could still be a family." Another pause. "He wanted me to help him start over." I looked out the window toward Mia playing with Luca and Luna in the backyard. The sound of their laughter drifted through the open window. Then Zoe quietly said, "I told him no." I remained silent. For the first time in my life. Her voice trembled. "I chose the right person." I frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" "I chose myself." She took a deep breath. "And I finally stopped chasing someone who only remembered me when he needed something." She paused again. I wish I had learned that years earlier. I stayed quiet for a moment. Then I asked, "What did he say after that?" Zoe gave a tired laugh. "He couldn't believe I'd refused." I can imagine. He kept saying people deserve second chances. And I asked him where that belief was when I was pregnant. Silence filled the call. He had no answer. I slowly nodded, even though she couldn't see me. He tried apologizing. "Did you believe him?" "No." "Why not?" "Because real regret changes people before they lose everything." I smiled faintly. "That's true." She took a deep breath. I finally looked him in the eyes and said something I'd wanted to say for years. "What was it?" "I already lost the only man who truly loved me." My chest tightened, not because I wanted her back, because I knew she was finally telling herself the truth. I won't lose myself trying to keep someone who never loved me. I closed my eyes. "I'm glad you said that." "So am I." She laughed softly. "I think that's the first honest decision I've made in a long time. I hope it's the beginning of many more." "I hope so too." Another moment of silence passed. Then she said, "This is really goodbye." "I know. I won't call again." "You don't have to. I just wanted you to know that I finally understand." "Understand what?" "That love isn't about who comes back." She paused. "It's about who never leaves." I looked through the window again. Mia was helping Luna